Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third annual Maker Educator Convening. Put your hands together, please, for the director, executive director of Maker Ed, Dr. Trey Lath. Here we go.
It's funny to be called doctor. I want to welcome you all here today. Thank you very much for coming. I'm excited. Yesterday was great. I'm very excited for today. I want to apologize. I'm not wearing my Maker Ed t-shirt. I should be, but my daughter used it for pajamas and I cannot find it in the cavernous room that is her archaeological dig. So looked for it and couldn't find it. But anyway, so I am a Maker Ed. So first of all, I want to thank our sponsors. They've done some amazing work with us, and we're very happy, Chevron and Autodesk, for making this possible. Makey, Intel, Microbit, Galileo Camp, Sonoma State, University's Maker Certificate Program. They've all done and contributed a lot to make this all happen. So I want to give them a thank you real quick. Appreciate it. It's sincere and very helpful. So I'd like to introduce our keynote speakers real quick, just get right onto it. So the keynote is on improving student agency and authority and identity in K-8 mathematics. Ben Ford is a mathematics professor at Sonoma State University and currently, sorry, I just want to make sure I get this right. He is currently the chair of the university's faculty, and the Make the Way is a project designed to infuse maker challenges in K-8 math program at Santa Rosa schools. Brent Jackson is currently the project director of Make the Way, and which is a collaboration and research project between Sonoma State and the California Mathematics Science Partnership. It's a partnership. He's an advocate of equitable and excellent mathematics and a longtime middle school math teacher. So Make the Way, today they're going to talk about their preliminary findings in their research and Make the Way and discuss the issues of student agency, authority, and identity in K-8 mathematics and making. And they've had some really great results, and I'm looking very much forward to this address. So I'll give them a warm welcome, and looking forward to hearing from them.
Thanks so much. Give me a minute to get our slides set up. All right, good morning. My name is Ben Ford. As you just heard, I'm a math professor at Sonoma State University, and it's a great honor to be here. We're about an hour north of here. I'm the principal investigator on this project I'm excited to tell you about. I'm most excited today because I've never had a visual recorder for a talk of mine, so I can't wait to see. Sorry, no pressure. Thanks to all of you for being here, and many thanks to Jessica Parker and the whole team at Maker Ed Initiative for organizing this fantastic convening.
Good morning, my name is Brent Jackson, and I am the project director of Project Make the Way, which is a California Math Science partnership. I am a former middle school math teacher, and I was given the opportunity over the past 2 years to work with math education leaders, including about 65 K-8 teachers, to investigate the ideas about how we can use ideas from the maker movement and implement them into the context of mathematics learning in K-8 classrooms. So thank you very much for inviting us here to share with you our project and how we've been thinking about making in terms of mathematics education. our project we've designed it as a maker project on its own. So as through our talk today, we will the design process to tell you our story about our project. When we started our project, there was a lot of buzz about making and bringing back the shop class. And as Casey Shea, the maker educator in Sonoma County, said, using our hands is critical to activating our brains. In the past, some shop classes in some places became the alternative to the core academic subjects. And we wanted to make sure that didn't happen with making. So we kept that at the forefront of our mind. We really saw making as the opportunity to motivate and opportunities to integrate with the academic subjects, as they're called. And we also, as we set out on the project, wanted to change kind of the definition of what it means to do math and make it more broad about problem solving rather than just a purely computational type of orientation in mathematics. And as a discipline, it helps us make sense of the problem. So just to set up, we're about 3 miles north of here. And it's a district of approximately 17,000 students and a wide variety of learners. Our high school district has about 40 to 45% free and reduced lunch, 15% English language learners, and our elementary schools are about 6% free reduced lunch and 45% elementary English language, second language learners. We worked in this project with our highest needs schools, and that was 6 of our elementary schools and 3 of our middle schools, which have an alignment. The elementary schools feed into those 3 middle schools, and they were our highest needs schools as defined by the Department of Education. So as I said, there was a lot of buzz about making going on in Sonoma County. As most of you are probably aware, in Sebastopol, right next door to us, is where Dale Doherty and O'Reilly Media and Make Magazine was founded. And O'Reilly had funded the first maker classroom at Annalee High School. That was well known in our community in Santa Rosa too. And Casey Shea was a valuable resource for us. It's the first kind of maker educator at the Sonoma County Office of Education, and helping to implement maker spaces and maker education into our schools in our county. And then also in our community, led by Dean Carlos Ayala and then Professor Jessica Parker at Sonoma State and Casey Shea also, they were starting up the Maker Certificate Program at Maker Education. So all of these things were there to support us in our endeavors of figuring out how to use these ideas for maker education in formal math education. So as we began our project, Agency by Design had just published their first white paper about the benefits of making. And what they spoke most about was providing opportunities for students to really redefine themselves and see themselves as a learner. And talked a lot about there are some technical skills and benefits, but it was a sense of developing student agency that was seen as really powerful. And we also wanted to develop student agency and authority within the mathematics discipline. So we saw some connection there. So their definition of what it meant to be an empowered, have some maker empowerment translated really well to what an empowered mathematician might be described. So having a sensitivity to the mathematical dimensions and objects in our world, and the inclination and capacity to understand those systems and to use them to shape your own world. They had also put out this framework about the types of opportunities that students need in making in order to develop that sense of agency. And those are listed here, really looking closely, exploring the complexity, and then taking those experiences and finding opportunities to design your world. This is our kind of study section that when we began our project, looking at some of the challenges that math teachers were facing and thinking about how mathematics and maker education can be combined. And it left us thinking, how can we best use these ideas for maker education to solve the problems and challenges in formal mathematics education?
So that review of the landscape kind of led us to attempting to define the problem we're setting out to address. Our goal is to bring together ideas from maker education thinking and a lot of great work going on in math education thinking. We're trying to design learning experiences, K-8 learning experiences that grow out of making and develop powerful mathematics learning. We believe that the maker context allows us a way to ensure that that learning is broadly shared across the classroom, which feeds our intense focus on equity concerns in the classroom. So we'll see a brief video now of 6th graders building racers to roll down a ramp. What I'd like you to keep an eye out for is opportunities, mathematical opportunities or ideas in the work that these students are doing. It's 2 minutes long. So watch for mathematical opportunities and watch for students noticing anything that has mathematical opportunities in it. So it's 2 minutes. All right, so talk with a neighbor for about 30 seconds. What might students wonder about in this context, or what did you see them wondering about? And what might a teacher notice in the work of these students that she or he could leverage in moving forward? 30 seconds. students might wonder about here and what teacher opportunities you see. Yes.
So we talked about the ability for the kids to look at the time, right? They were put on a clock. They were always looking at measurements, data collection, communication. They can extend this by putting it on different surfaces, wheel placement, wheel sizes. Those are some kind of inquiries that they thought about then while we expanded on.
Now I see why you couldn't stop after 30 seconds. We got all that. So there's time, there's measurement, there's all kinds of design issues about wheel size, wheel placement. I don't know if you mentioned weight. There's ramp placement issues. Yeah.
There's also the physics.
Yeah. So there's lots of physics questions going on here.
Also the team playing is going on.
Lots of collaboration work within the team that the teacher could point out and sort of take advantage of.
Talk about the precision of measurements.
Precision, so there are lots of measurement issues that came up here. Interestingly, this cycle moves into data. I'll describe it more later. The measurement issues that came up just in this very beginning of the project were fascinating. And so here are a few things that we've seen students wonder about. Lots of questions about what makes it go farther with lots of ideas. And as in the picture, maybe a sail will help. So do any of these questions we talk about lend themselves to mathematical exploration? Most of them on that screen do. Most of them that you brought up do. And so there are lots of opportunities here, I'd say. So here are a few potential things for teachers to notice about mathematical opportunities that came up in these students' work. These students clearly understand that the lengths can be added, but they don't have a mechanism for determining the length with only one take. That was fascinating for us to notice that they said, we need a second take. Some notions are available in the context, but not voiced by students, and so would probably require some prompting to investigate. Variability, which is our whole point in the mathematics that we're headed for, doesn't get voiced by them as an issue, even though they run the car multiple times and it goes different lengths every time. Nobody says, I wonder why it goes different lengths every time. So that's going to be if we want that to come up, we'll have to prompt it. Or have some different design. Questions about why different cars go different lengths, that does come up. One that didn't come up in this video but has in a lot of classes is, do we measure in a straight line from the bottom of the ramp to the ending position, or do we try to measure the path that the car took? And it's fascinating to see groups work with that and try to get the teacher to tell them which is the right way. So our question is, how do we leverage these experiences which hint at but don't make explicit important mathematics? In most classes, some students experiment with adding more weight to increase distance, and that's the relationship that we end up focusing on in follow-on lessons that follow this work. So we define our challenge as designing K-8 classroom experiences that take advantage of the benefits of making, and then build to important mathematical understanding, and try to use the context of the maker challenges to make sure the mathematical learning is broadly shared. And in our setting, we frame that challenge in the context of improving learning outcomes for Latinx and English learner students in particular.
So Ben kind of described our problem statement. So then, knowing what it is that we wanted to do, we went into our conceive step. And the first thing we did was we developed this theory of action of how we were going to work with teachers in order to start implementing these ideas in classrooms. But first, we wanted to start with some professional development activities with teachers. And these would be really important because we would need to kind of shift teachers' mindsets about what it means to do mathematics and what teaching and learning might actually look like. So we would engage teachers in maker projects and explore the mathematics that can arise out of them. We also specifically started in our professional development that we wanted to talk about strategies for equitable access so that all students can learn and have access to the mathematics. And then we wanted to make our professional development a collaborative effort between Sonoma State University and the teachers on designing these challenges, implementing them, and refining them. So if we, our ideas were, if we did these big 3 ideas with teachers, it would influence what teachers were doing in their classrooms. First, we would start to examine their assumptions about how students learn mathematics and who can learn mathematics and what it actually means to do math. And we would build the skill of building learning from the student thinking. So this idea of diagnostic, taking where the students are, what they see in the challenge, and using that to guide the follow-on teaching. And with these ideas, we would be developing grade level mathematics. So in the classrooms, we were hoping to see that student engagement in activities and grade level mathematics would start happening, and students would be more proficient in mathematics. And lastly, for our student outcomes is we want to see improved student engagement, more involvement in the standards for mathematical practices, changing their attitudes and beliefs around mathematics. And then our end goal, the way that we were going to measure our success with this project is, can we shift the proportion of students taking college prep courses in their freshman year in high school, particularly for Latino and second language learner students. Period of doing professional development, and hopefully our theory of action is true and we can change the amount of students that get placed into college prep courses. So we also wanted to think about what makes for a powerful learning environment. So I'm going to ask you to think and share with your neighbor for a few seconds. If you could name elements that make for a powerful learning environment, what would those be? So tell your neighbor a few of those.
So hopefully some of the ideas that you were sharing with your elbow neighbor, hopefully those ideas are captured in these 5 dimensions of mathematically powerful classrooms. So this was in the literature and starting to be talked about in the math education community. These dimensions that make for powerful learning mathematics. There's worthwhile content, there's a certain amount of productive struggle, all students have access, formative assessment ideas are being used, and then this idea of agency, authority, and identity that we're developing students' sense of themselves as a learner and mathematics as a worthwhile discipline to study. So hopefully these resonate with what you were saying. And not only does this make for powerful mathematics classrooms, but we saw that maker projects make affordances for all of these dimensions to come alive in our classrooms. Jessica wanted me to remind you that you can follow our presentation going quickly. There's a link back here that you can follow on. And we'll be happy to answer lots of questions at the end. Yeah, the PDFs are on the link on the back of your name tag. So particularly this element of agency, authority, and identity. And when we talk about what it means to have agency and authority in mathematics and what that might look like in the classroom, our guiding questions for this are, to what extent are the students the source of the ideas being presented, and are their ideas and contributions to the discussions valued? And there was a lot about that earlier with agency by design. a lot of these ideas about developing students of agency. So we thought and focused our first year of our project on finding how maker projects can transfer this agency from making into the mathematics learning that follows.
So finally, we're to the point where we can talk about building our designs. So to try to build this conception into reality, Santa Rosa City Schools applied for and received a California Math Science Partnership Grant with Sonoma State University and the California Math Project North Coast as partners. A 3-year design was trimmed after year 1 to 2 years by federal funding changes. So we're just now at the end of our second year. Santa Rosa High English Learner Middle Schools and their feeder elementary schools were chosen to participate, and their teachers could apply for a place in the 60-teacher cohort. At those schools, teacher participation ranges from about 15% to 50%. In designing what we've come to call Maker Challenge learning cycles, our first decision was to open each cycle with a Maker Challenge and to establish a firewall between that Maker Challenge and the mathematics work to follow. So what we're trying to break is many of our over-helpfulness in the classroom that steals productive struggle from our students. So we're really trying to preserve the authenticity of the making experience. Following that Maker Challenge, building a car, floating pennies, making a deck of cards, making Play-Doh, we'll show you a few other topics later. We bridge to the target mathematics via noticings from making. There's an open question for us of how tight the anchor needs to be to the specific Maker Challenge. So the mathematics content, we have some where the mathematics content is merely suggested by the Maker Challenge, but not required to engage in the Maker Challenge. We have others where the mathematics is firmly embedded in the Maker Challenge, and we're studying how that student engagement and agency carries over in those different levels of connection. A major component of our approach to the design process for the learning cycles is working with groups of teachers to study, test, and revise through a process called lesson study. Groups study their cycle's design, carefully anticipate and plan that implementation, and then revise and repeat with a lot of feedback to the design team that gets folded into every subsequent iteration. Many cycles include what we call public lessons, which are lessons taught in front of a public audience of educators with a protocol for learning from the observation and contributing to the community understanding about teaching and learning. This is part of a larger effort to deprivatize teaching and get teachers into each other's classrooms more and more. In our first year, we focused on building student agency, authority, and identity by simply implementing Maker Challenges in K-8 math classes and calling them part of doing mathematics. As I mentioned, one big challenge, which was teachers' desire to help too much, which points to Brent's idea earlier that we have to work a lot on redefining a successful classroom experience in math, away from got the right answer and toward engaged productively and learn some math. Another challenge is the tension between pre-teaching. Everybody wants to pre-teach the heck out of everything. Lost at sea classroom. And on the other hand, preserving an authentic making experience with some productive struggle in it. We don't have dedicated maker spaces in our schools. So our projects fit in a Rubbermaid tote and have a consumables cost of less than $1 a student. It's kind of the constraints we're working under. In year 2, we focused on the follow-on math lessons to a greater degree, especially on understanding effective ways to build high cognitive demand math learning following on Maker Challenges. And our aim is to maintain that sense of agency, authority, and identity fostered in the Maker Challenge into the mathematics. So we'll walk you through one Maker Challenge, one Maker learning cycle, a 6th grade racer cycle. So first is the Maker Challenge. So provided with it, and you saw students, a little bit of them engaging in this, provided with a variety of materials, students in teams of 3 build a racer that will go as far as possible down the provided fixed ramp. And this project idea I stole from Casey Shea again, love from Casey. Next is some data gathering, and you saw a bit of that, to be able to discuss variability and causes. Class discussion leads to a decision to investigate the effects of weight on distance of travel, and groups modify their car's weight several times testing the effect on distance. Groups plot their data and use it to predict distance for a given weight and weight required to go a given distance. Now, I will admit that this poster is actually from a group of teachers doing the project. Our sixth graders don't have that nice handwriting. But the data is very similar that we get with sixth graders as well. So they use this plot then to predict and then test that prediction. So the work is aimed at exploring the mathematics of quantities that change in relation to one another. And that's a key topic of middle school and high school mathematics that is phenomenally difficult at the beginning to understand that this graph represents a relationship between two different quantities is a really tough concept. So all of our learning cycle lesson plans will be posted this summer. Right now there are drafts of this website here, and there'll be a lot more by the end of the summer. I promise you now. All right. Why is it not? There we go.
So into the next phase, SSU had designed these challenges, and through lesson study with groups of teachers, they went about implementing them and carefully noticing what was happening with students to figure out how to best teach the follow-on math lesson. And so we did encounter some challenges with teacher learning, and in using these cycles, one of the big challenges was teacher noticing. So in the maker portion, as Ben spoke about, kind of a firewall between the making and the follow-on math lessons, what's really important to notice in the making that we can hold true to the maker environment and that open-endedness and kind of step away and not guide too much. What can we carefully want to monitor and notice that we can then take and leverage what students were saying and doing in a later lesson? Challenges were, what's the right amount of productive struggle and cognitive demand, and where is the productive struggle okay? Is it with fumbling around with the tape, or is there something else that we want them to struggle, some idea that we want them to struggle with? So what is okay to kind of pre-teach or give some pre-experiences with, maybe using some material so that doesn't get in the way of the real productive struggle that we want students to encounter. And then continuing to develop this sense of agency. How do we maintain the cognitive demand in order to allow students to have this openness where they can come up with ideas, and then how do we use what students are doing and saying in order to make them feel like their contributions are being valued in the later discussions. So we're going to take a look at one group of teachers learning from this challenge called Monster Cards, and this is in a second grade classroom. So the group of teachers had, the week before, had given students the challenge to build a deck of cards that have monsters on them, and they have these attributes: shapes, the number of antenna, and the number of legs. And they have to use each of these, they have to use each shape at least once. They have to have a card that has only one antenna, a card that has only two antennas, and 3 antennas, so on. And so students make these decks of cards. They play some games with them, some counting games, some addition games with them for the week. And then they come back the week later and they ask the kids, how do you know if you have made all of the cards that are possible to make with these set of attributes that can be made? So you'll see students in a minute organizing their cards to try to determine the number of monsters that if they have a full deck of monsters. And the mathematics that we wanted to get at in this lesson is kind of organizing data. So I will let you watch. It's about 2.5 minutes long.
It's supposed to be 4, 2, 2. Like, I like to show the light.
What do we have for legs? And how many antennas?
So what do you want to do? And then you look here.
But you have this one here at the beginning. Yeah, so you need to see it twice.
Sorry, the subtitles dropped off on that. Take 30 seconds. What did you notice in that video? Tell your neighbor. The prompt was, what did you notice in that video? Take 30 seconds to tell your neighbor.
Right, I'd like to go through this extension. So one of the most powerful things in our project was this idea of lesson sitting. So after groups of teachers teach these lessons, they get back together and they watch the video of what happened during the lesson, and they critique each other and see what they could have done better. And with this, I was there to watch this lesson, and this group of teachers had a really good conversation afterwards. And they kind of framed it in these threats to the powerful learning framework that we discussed with them. And they noticed that they were being too helpful in trying to get the students to sort the cards using their own. They wanted to be helpful to get them to sort the cards, but perhaps they were being too helpful in the type of scaffolding they were given and the questions. If you could tell, they were kind of steering the students in organizing the data in the way that the teachers organized the data themselves. And they didn't really leverage how the students had organized the cards by the number of feet in the beginning. If you notice by the end, the cards are in no particular order, and the students are not going to be able to figure out which which cards are missing within the sets. And they noticed, and they thought, we probably could have paid more attention to how the students were drawing the cards in the beginning, because if they were doing that in a particular order or in a systematic way, they might be able to sort them and use that thinking in a systematic way, and be able to anticipate by seeing how the students went about making sure they had one of each attribute. That might help them to monitor what's going on better in the sorting to see which cards are missing. And then overall in our project, we really had to start working and changing this definition of success. So a lot of the definition of success, we started with teachers thinking that they had this final product that was made, it was perfect, exactly the way it was supposed to be, and starting to shift our definition of success of it's just learning through this project, and as long as we're learning through engaging in these cycles, then we are being successful, and the students are being successful in the project.
All right, finally, we'll share a few early results. So as part of the project, we're interested in understanding students' ideas about mathematics, particularly what it means to be a successful math student. So we interviewed students regularly in participating Make the Way classrooms. The two main questions during the interviews are, describe what a successful math student does in class, and how do you know if you've been successful while working on a math problem? And we got themes in their responses, even after a year of making projects. We have beliefs about smartness, that good math students just get it, and if you struggle, it means you're not good in math. Successful students are fast. They describe good math students as finishing problems fast, first. Lastly, they look for an outside agent, mainly the teacher, for ideas about whether or not they have been successful. So we clearly still have a lot of work to do in thinking about what it means to be a successful math student. Teachers engaged in these maker learning cycles as learners before taking them in their classrooms, and their own math learning is reflected in an assessment of mathematics knowledge for teaching, which is a pretty powerful framework of the kinds of content knowledge that teachers need to have to be effective teachers. So these are results of our participating teachers from before the project through just the end of year one. They've continued to do these assessments, and soon enough we'll have 2 years worth of data. But we show significant improvement in teacher content knowledge relevant to teaching mathematics. And at the end of year two, we were interested in hearing from teachers what they had learned during their 2 years in Make the Way. So we asked them, what do you understand differently about how students learn mathematics? And we've got about a minute's worth of their responses here.
This has given me the opportunity to actually step back, give them the opportunity to work on problems, and we really concentrate on trying to gather student thinking rather than correct answers. The kid is the most quiet and the one that you're not really sure about whether they're learning mathematics is sometimes incognito genius. Because it taught me to look at math in a little bit of a different way than through just textbook. And that students can, it's okay for students to make mistakes. I feel like I've realized a lot more potential in student learning than I maybe understood before. My kids think deeper, a deeper level than I gave them credit for before.
I think the big aha for me this year was rewriting how they see math, and I have to actually believe that I have to see math differently.
So obviously we're happy with those teacher ideas, and of course the big step of whether that changes what happens in the classroom is a good question. So at the student level, we are seeing some changes already. After just the first year of Maker Challenge implementation, 3rd and 4th grade students and participating teachers significantly outperformed a matched comparison control group. Higher grades, 5th and above, showed no significant difference. The younger grades don't take this test, so I'm pretty excited about the potential for making math in younger grades to make a long-term difference, and I hope to find a way to continue to study these effects. And finally, some acknowledgement to our many collaborators. In this case, Many Cooks has led to some good stew, and we've been lucky to work with great people from all three of the core partners. You see here Santa Rosa City Schools, Sonoma State, and the California Math Project North Coast. And we've also had great partners from the business community and from other education agencies, and we want to give a special shout out to administrators who say yes, our deans and superintendents. So, thank you.
All right. We have time for Q&A, so if you have a question for these two amazing men, you can either tweet it, and we will ask them, or you can raise your hand old school, and we can give you a mic. Yes, sir.
I noticed the results of the third grade and fourth grade. And I'm curious about why the difference. One is on positive direction, the other one is negative.
Well, so third and fourth grades showed a positive difference compared to a control group. The others did not show any significant difference. I don't know that we can say for certain what the cause is, but my working hypothesis is that third and fourth graders have had fewer years to be enculturated into what math currently means in classrooms, and so it was a little easier to make inroads with the younger grades and changing the mindset around math and hoping them to see themselves as empowered math doers.
Thanks. Thanks, guys, for sharing and for the work you've done for teachers and for students. Could you say a little bit more about the lesson study process? I think it has a real tremendous implications for maker education in general.
Yeah, so lesson study is about we have our teachers work 24 hours, and in the 24 hours, they, the first, what, not straight, over a period of days. This is a 24-hour process of, the first 10 to 12 hours is just studying the curriculum and the cycle of learning and the mathematics that we anticipate students are going to learn, and getting into the literature about how students learn those ideas. And then after that study of curriculum and the research, and then they sometimes write the lesson, or in this case, really start planning out the steps for the challenges that the SSU team has written. After they plan the lesson, they have some release days in their classrooms where they teach iteration 1, and the group comes in with an inquiry question, and they really do some close noticing. Sometimes they just sit as a silent observer with a group of students, and they see how are students reacting to this task, what are students saying and doing, and they use that evidence that they've collected from the lesson to revise the lesson, and so that the lesson gets to the goals they were hoping to get to, or maybe they see that they need to take the lesson in a different direction. They really use that evidence they gather from sitting with students, watching closely how they do with the task, to build different generations. And then the last thing that we do in our project is we do public lessons, which Casey just was an expert commentary for us on making. Ben did that too. And we invite educators to watch. We invite educators to watch a live classroom lesson. So this past April, we had 170 people, math education people from around California come, and we bring students in. This was on a Saturday, and they're in a classroom, and we have all these observers that are helping collect this evidence about whether or not this math lesson is working for students. And there's some debrief protocols of how we share that evidence out, and implications for what they saw, and then how we might improve that.
And to learn a little more about lesson study, it's a long-established professional development practice, universal in Japan. Look at the work of Catherine Lewis at Mills College and Aki Takahashi, and Paul. Those are some of the best writers right now about lesson study, ramping it up in the States.
And then Brent, we have a question from Anna who asks, are you looking to scale up and replicate at other universities?
Well, I'd say that the hope for scale up is across the district first. So I think it's more a district-centered program than a university-centered program. And I would say, yes, we're definitely interested in, we're currently talking with some other partners about trying to find funding to work with additional districts and both to develop more of these Maker Challenge learning cycles. Our original goal was 4 per grade level. We hypothesized that would be enough to make a significant difference in kids' experience of doing mathematics, 4 per grade level all the way K-8. We've only got to the 2 or 3 phase because of the funding. So yes, we're definitely looking for other partners.
I would say one design aspect of this project was an element of leadership. So we're really developing a group of leaders that we can use to scale up the use of these projects with other teachers at their sites. So we have between 15 to 50% site participation at any site. So we can use these groups of leaders that have been studying how to use Maker challenges in their classroom to then kind of be the leaders to take it to the next level of teachers that wish to do this. And we are working, we have a new, in our district, it is district centered, so we're adopting a new math curriculum, and so we're going to figure out how to, where these projects best fit in within that scope of sequence.
Thank you. Okay, so this question is a little bit on the same lines. The idea of scaling up kind of presupposes that you have a good idea of how to interact with the school district and the teachers and the schools, and every school district is a little different. Can you guys talk a little bit about the challenges and also maybe the opportunities that you found in attempting to bring this in? Because this wasn't going into a science classroom, which I would imagine might be a little easier than a math classroom, be able to change a lot of hearts and minds, it sounds like, about what math looks like.
So I'll say our shout out here to administrators is important. Administrators who are supportive matters a lot, and we're just lucky right now with administrators in this district and at our university and County Office of Education. Even this district has not always been so lucky. So, but I will say we have worked intensively with districts. We, from the university through the California Math Project, which is a professional development partnership between the county office and the university, have worked with districts over the last 20 years to develop relationships. And so this would not have happened had we not had a 15-year history of facilitating lesson study for districts and helping lots of other professional development projects. So I don't know, it's kind of trite, but it's about relationships.
And on a similar note, it's so we have big supporters of this at our central office, and without their support, and it's also budget, it's the cost of lesson study and paying for teachers' time so we can honor their work is quite expensive. So having those relationships with those administrators, and they really, our administrators really saw the value in this, so they were willing to go there with us. So getting them first, I think, was critical.
Going forward, how do you guys envision sustainability as grant ends?
With the district right now, in the original grant proposal, the district committed to incorporating these Maker Challenge cycles into the regular curriculum plan of the district. And with the canceling of the third year of funding, they have some wiggle room. So we're doing our best. The administration remains excited and committed. So we're pretty hopeful. First of all, we try to design them cheap and easy to manage. So the hope is that the district will probably at the school level commit to maintaining these Rubbermaid totes and keeping these in the curriculum. But that is an ongoing discussion. We do have a contract with the district to continue facilitating lesson studies. So at least we're still in the district working with the teachers, and we can continue to engage around these projects. I don't know where Jessica.
Hi. Your slide about the student interviews, were those students that had gone through the program that still had the view of math that it was whoever was fastest and quickest and had their hand up?
Yes, those are students with teachers that participate in our program.
At the end of year one, right? So
Okay.
one thing
So
that
my question then is there anything you're thinking of to sort of model that idea?
Sure. So one quote that I didn't put in here because Jessica said we got a limit of 40 minutes was an example student quote from a current 7th grader who just won an award from Todos Mathematics for All, which is a mathematics equity statewide organization, for her growth in mathematics over the last year. And she absolutely describes that maker experience, and her teacher does, as the time when she discovered she could do math, and she's, you know, this amazing A student now, and just and previously been quite in her shell. So we have isolated pieces like that, and primarily in the first year, the teachers focused on implementing one maker challenge really well, and students loved it. And in those same interviews, I didn't say it in the slide, but it is in my notes. In those interviews, all of the students remembered their maker challenge and spoke about the challenge in a positive light. So it has one challenge is not enough to change their definition of what a strong math student was, but that's why I think we need to repeat this, you know, a bunch of times over a period of years to change that perception.
We have a question from Liz. Were you able to meet your original metric of more enrollment in college prep courses?
We haven't had the number of years that we anticipated. So after this, a group of students that have been with 2 make-away teachers, and we can look at their placement for the fall and get some preliminary metric to see if those students have been with a make-away teacher for 2 years, if there's a difference in the ratio of students that place into A to G classes.
So we don't have data after just the first year. We didn't even try to collect data just from 1 year of one maker challenge. So we're hoping to get some data after this year. But I want to point out the main theory about how college prep placement would be affected has to do with teacher understanding of students, not with students. So we have a huge issue in schools of informal tracking. And despite the fact that all policies ban tracking, aka in most districts, schools do it still, and that tracking is very highly correlated with race and English learner status and socioeconomic status. And so in our attempts to get teachers to step back and implement these maker challenges, we wanted teachers to get a different view about what students were capable of. And we are seeing that. So we still have hope that after this second year, we'll see some change in college practice.
In my discussions with teachers, I hear them talking, reviewing our placement protocols and expanding what we consider to be successful in middle school, and not just using one test metric to decide where we're going to go, but looking at a wider range of abilities that we want to value in our classrooms and using those to decide what the placement should be. So it has started generating some conversation about what we should look at to consider the placement.
Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate everything you said. I was wondering if in your analysis you have looked at anything that relates to gender, specifically in terms of the test score leaps for young women versus young men, and also if getting to the students in this integrated making project idea early, potentially inspire women to go into elective courses that maybe happen in middle or high school around that. Thank you.
Great question. We have not yet. Our evaluator has promised us that with the year 2 data, they will, both ethnicity and gender, on all the measures that they look at. Although the court's choices is one we have not collected. That's the way that we need to talk about that.
You have time for one more question, then we'll go over here.
Thanks for presenting really interesting stuff. You framed the talk in a kind of design process. I wonder what you might say about the theory of action that you presented at the beginning and what you learned, maybe what changes you made along the way, and what you might do to get it to do over again, what you might do differently.
Well, I think my theory of action would have more loopbacks in it, like more cycles, and it sort of implies a unidirectional thing. We do professional development, and that changes teachers' beliefs and attitudes and skills, and that changes what happens in the classroom, and that changes student outcomes. And that's much too simplistic, of course. And and the links between some of those are harder than others. So teacher attitude changes to classroom practice changes is a hard link that there's a lot of research about professional development that shows we're pretty good about changing teacher attitudes, and it doesn't have much effect on classroom practice. So that's where our focus on lesson study comes in, a really careful effort to actually examine classroom practice. We're just finishing, so I have not done a good sort of reflection about what to do differently next time. I think one issue is we tried to cram too much into professional development. We have it for a lot. We have a week every summer and 5 Saturdays every year, and that sounds like a lot of time, but it's not. And so I think that we tried to cram a little too much in and perhaps didn't cover some of the important stuff deeply enough.
All right, everybody, huge round of applause for this.